I'm Linda Bloomfield and I'm a potter. I make thrown porcelain tableware, mostly things for people to use. I grew up in Bristol and I used to go to a potter down the road. She used to do Saturday morning classes for children, and that's where I first learnt. I was about 9 and I really enjoyed it. So it's always been something I wanted to do. But once I'd had children, that was my chance to come back to pottery. And I got my own shed and started making. And now I make full time. And that's what I've always really wanted to do. I really like particular potters, mainly from the 1950s. I like Lucy Ree. And there's also a designer called Ava Zeisel from America who designed beautiful ceramics in the 50s. Kind of tableware, factory made, but really nice designs. So I'm inspired by plain, simple, organic shapes. Things with dimples and rounded shapes. And I'm sort of short and roundish, so I think that's partly. I'm not, some tall, thin potters make tall, thin pots, and I'm a sort of short potter, so I make round pots. I'll just throw the clay onto the wheel, and I'm just going to centre it. And once that's done, I'm going to make a hole right in the centre and just flatten the base a little bit. And then I'm going to start to lift up the walls. And this will be a tall jug. And I'm kind of squeezing them so that they're the same thickness all the way up. So I've got one hand on the outside and one hand on the inside. I just try and get it as tall as I can. I keep going down to the bottom and then pulling right up to the top until it's the right height. When it gets too thin, it starts to wobble a little bit, so I know I've almost finished. This is probably the last pull. I'll just pull up one more time. And then I'm going to sponge out the base, and then I'm going to collar in the top to make a little jug. So I'm just making the top much narrower. And I'm going to use a rib. There's a rib with a long handle that you can put inside tall pots. And I'm going to use a rib on the outside and then shape it from the inside and the outside. So this just smooths out the shape and makes it nice and even. I've got a little wooden rib on in each hand instead of using my fingers, and it makes the walls nice and smooth and sort of smooths out the throwing lines. And then all I need to do is make the little lip to the top of the jug. I'll just find the highest point and then pull it up between my finger and thumb, and then that will be the lip of the jug. I'm smoothing it with the chamois leather and then just pulling it out with one finger to make it into a little lip. And then I'll cut underneath to make the base neat and just finish off the shape of it to make sure it's nice and even. And then I'm going to make 2 little dimples in it for handles. First of all, 2 little dimples, one on each side, and then cutting it underneath with a wire, and I'll lift it up onto a board, and that's finished. It's finished. It's a little jug with dimples.